Rosarno looks like a ghost town. A lone police car patrols the streets. Just a few days ago, thousands of African workers were living here. This building began as an olive oil factory, but ended up as an emergency shelter. People had no time to take their jackets and rubber boots. Inside, the floor is strewn with leftover food, sleeping bags, and mattresses. They used every corner of the building for makeshift beds. They were day laborers who earned money picking tangerines. At night, the factory was their temporary shelter, until January 7th, when their frustration and anger turned to violence. The workers hadn't been paid in days. The police tried to prevent the worst, but the laborers destroyed everything in their paths. Rosarno was in a state of emergency. Residents defended themselves. The clashes led to injuries. One of the African workers leads us to burned-down living quarters outside the city. Nearly 700 plantation workers used to live in this olive grove. But after the uprising at Rosarno, they fled or were expelled by police. Somebody set fire to all their belongings. A few kilometers further down the road, we find another group of African migrants trying to keep warm around a small fire. Most of them don't want to be filmed out of fear. It takes some convincing, but a few finally agree to talk to us on camera.
We
didn't do anything to anyone. We're just here to work, to be able to feed our families, to have a better life.
12 people live here. This gas canister is their only luxury. They have no electricity, no running water, and it's cold and wet. The men come from Burkina Faso. They all thought life in Italy would be different. But now, after the riot, they don't even have work.
There are too many ways to get caught. It's too easy. None of us have legal papers. Without those, you can't work now. Nobody will hire you.
For a long time, the use of day workers functioned well in Calabria. Rosarno has about 15,000 residents, none of whom pick oranges or tangerines. That leaves enough work for nearly 2,500 migrant workers every year. They're paid under the table at 25 euros per day. A landowner shows us his plantation. He blames the low market prices for the problems in Rosarno. He has 2,000 trees full of oranges, but no one to pick them. 1 kilo brings in anywhere from 4 to 6 cents. The entire harvest adds up to around 6,000 euros, too little to hire regular fruit pickers.
The pension fund officials breathe down your neck, and so do the police. You have to pay for the workers' social security expenses, which means they all need a residence permit. It costs too much money. I'd rather let the harvest go to waste.
The landowner says it's not about racism or xenophobia, it's about making a profit on his plantation. A priest from the neighboring town says the Mafia is the root of the problem. For years, he's campaigned for legitimate labor practices.
The 'Ndrangheta, the Mafia in Calabria, is taking advantage of what's happening. They manage the influx of plantation workers and establish the low day rates. Now they're trying to bring order and calm here too. In that way, they're winning more support from the people. They have the upper hand.
The Italian government is promising to put an end to the conflict. Police patrols roam the streets of Rosarno. But those who have dedicated years to protecting African immigrants' rights in Italy see little reason for hope. They're convinced the exploitation will continue. Social workers were promised more help from the state, but it never came.
The public agencies are the problem. They already knew about the situation. The African workers had been here for years. The government just stood by and watched until the tensions boiled over.
We're looking for the migrant workers who fled Rosarno. We find them 400 kilometers further north, in Naples. Many came to this refugee center, where they wait and hope for better times. Emmanuel shows us some personal possessions from Ghana that he managed to save amid the chaos.
These are all brothers from...
They called us to come and work. And after working, to pay us, it had become a problem.
So they didn't want to pay you?
They don't want to pay us. That's why they started doing all those things, so that everybody can run away.
An estimated 15,000 Africans are here in Castelvolturno alone. They stand on the side of the road every morning, hoping to pick up odd jobs. Work on the vegetable plantations doesn't start until spring, under the same conditions as in Rosarno.